I'm a federal agent, but today I was just a dad. I promised my 7-year-old daughter, Mia, a fun day with no work. No calls, no emails, just us. She deserved it, and so did I. Mia uses a wheelchair because of a condition. I could say cerebral palsy or spina bifida, but it's her smile that matters most. She loves the playground special swing, the kind made for kids like her. It's her favorite because it feels like flying, and when she giggles, it's the best sound in the world. Seeing her happy is why I brought her here. Her bright grin lights up my day. I wasn't in my usual work clothes. No badge, no gun, just jeans and a hoodie. I held a coffee cup and watched Mia roll toward the swing. Her small hands gripped the wheelchair's rims, pushing hard, showing how determined she is. I smiled, proud of her. I found a bench nearby, close enough to help if she needed me but far enough to let her feel free. That's what she likes, being a kid, not just my little girl in a chair. The playground was busy but not too crowded. Parents talked on benches, some watched their kids, others chased them around. Kids ran everywhere, laughing while a few dogs barked, pulling on leashes. It was a happy place, full of noise and life. I sipped my coffee, feeling the breeze, and kept my eyes on Mia. This was our day and I wanted it to stay perfect. Trouble started when Karen showed up. She was a woman in her mid-40s with bleach blonde hair and big sunglasses, even though the sun wasn't that bright. Her voice was loud and sharp, like a siren. I first saw her yelling at another mom about the slide. "Your kid's too slow," she shouted, while her own son, maybe 6 years old, whined beside her. I noticed her but didn't think much of it. Parks always have people like that, loud, annoying but usually harmless. I shrugged and turned back to Mia. Mia had rolled her wheelchair to the accessible swing. It's her favorite spot, built for kids like her who can't run or jump. I walked over to help her move from the chair to the swing. It takes time, her legs don't work like other kids, but we've done it 100 times. She trusts me to lift her gently, and I love seeing her smile when she's ready to swing. She was almost settled when Karen's son ran up. He stopped right in front of us, pointing at Mia's swing. "I want that one," he said loud and bossy. There were other swings free, but he insisted, "It's the best one." Mia, sweet as always, looked at him and said, "I'm almost ready. You can go next." Her voice was soft, patient, the way she always is. That's when Karen lost it. She stormed over, her heels crunching the gravel like she was marching to war. Her arms waved around like she was swatting flies. "She's hogging it," she yelled, glaring at Mia. "We were here first." I stood up, keeping my voice calm. "She needs a minute," I said. "This swing's made for her." I pointed to the sign that says accessible, but Karen didn't care. She cut me off, her face red. "She shouldn't even be here if she can't move faster," she snapped. I felt my jaw tighten. I wanted to yell back, but I didn't. Not yet. Mia doesn't need me fighting her battles, she just needs me to keep her safe. Then it happened. Before I could say another word, Karen stepped closer, raised her hand and slapped Mia's arm, hard. "Get off, you're wasting time," she barked. Mia gasped, her little hand grabbing her arm where it hit. Tears filled her eyes and her wheelchair rolled back a bit from the force. I heard the smack echo in my head. My coffee cup slipped from my hand, splashing on the ground, but I didn't care. Anger burned inside me, hot and fast. Mia looked up at me, scared, and whispered, "Daddy?" That was it. Karen had crossed a line and she didn't even know what was coming. I dropped to my knees beside Mia the second I saw her hurt. Her arm was red, starting to swell a little where Karen had hit her. I touched it gently, my heart racing. "Are you okay, sweetheart?" I asked, trying to keep my voice soft for her. She nodded, but her sniffles broke my heart. "She hit me, Daddy," she said, her voice shaky. I hugged her close, feeling her tremble. Around us, other parents gasped. Some grabbed their phones, starting to record. The playground went quiet, everyone watching. I stood up slow, turning to face Karen. My anger burned hot, but I kept it locked tight. "You just assaulted my daughter," I said, my voice low, sharp like a knife. She didn't even blink, just smirked like it was a game. "Maybe teach her to share," she shot back, crossing her arms. The crowd stared, but she didn't care. She kept going, louder now. "Kids like her ruin it for everyone." I felt my hands curl into fists. She wasn't just mean, she was cruel, and she aimed it at Mia, my little girl who'd never hurt anyone. That's when I'd had enough. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my leather badge case and flipped it open. I held it high so she couldn't miss it. "I'm a federal agent with the Department of Justice," I said, staring her down. "You hit a disabled minor. There are witnesses everywhere. You're not walking away from this." Her face changed fast, color drained out, eyes wide. She opened her mouth, fumbling for words. It was just a tap, she stammered, stepping back. But her voice was weak now, like she knew she'd messed up big. The crowd wasn't letting her off easy. A mom stepped up, holding her phone tight. "I've got it all on video," she said, her voice firm. She didn't tap her, she slapped her hard. Clear as day. People nodded, murmuring. Then a dad piped up, pointing at Karen. "She's done this before. I saw her push a kid off the slide last month. She's a bully." More voices joined in, angry and fed up. Parents who'd stayed quiet before were done hiding. They'd seen Karen act like she owned the place too many times. Now, with Mia hurt and me standing there, they weren't scared anymore. The playground turned against her, a wall of people ready to fight back. Karen looked around, trapped. Her smirk was gone, replaced by panic. She'd picked the wrong kid, the wrong dad, and the wrong day. And I wasn't done yet. I couldn't let Karen get away with hurting Mia. My hands shook, but my voice stayed steady as I pulled out my phone. I dialed a friend at the DA's office, someone I trusted from work. "Hey, it's me," I said, keeping it calm. "A woman just assaulted my disabled daughter at the park. We've got video proof and lots of witnesses. Send patrol now." He didn't ask questions, just said, "On it?" I hung up and looked at Mia. She was still holding her arm, eyes big and scared. I gave her a small nod, promising her it'd be okay. Soon, faint sirens started in the distance, getting louder every second. Karen's tough act fell apart fast. She heard the sirens and started tripping over her words. "I didn't mean it," she blurted, her voice high and shaky. "I didn't know she was yours." Her eyes darted around, looking for a way out. She took a step back, then another, like she might run. But the parents weren't having it. A couple of them moved quick, blocking her path. "You're not going anywhere," one dad said, arms crossed. Another mom stood firm beside him, phone still out, recording everything. Karen froze, trapped by the crowd. Her son stood off to the side, kicking at the dirt. He looked lost, maybe ashamed, not saying a word. The police rolled up minutes later, 2 cars, lights flashing. Officers stepped out, calm but serious. I walked over, showed them my badge and explained what happened. "She slapped my daughter," I said, pointing at Karen. "It's all on video." The mom with the phone handed it over and the cops watched. You could hear Karen's voice on the clip, yelling, then the sharp smack. Their faces hardened. They turned to Karen, who was whining now. "You're overreacting," she cried. "It wasn't that bad." But the officers didn't buy it. One pulled out handcuffs and said, "Hands behind your back." She squirmed, still talking, but they cuffed her anyway. The crowd watched, quiet, as they led her to the car. She kept complaining, but no one cared. I went back to Mia, kneeling beside her wheelchair. "It's over, sweetheart," I said, brushing a tear off her cheek. She nodded, watching the police with big eyes. Her trust was shaken, I could see it, but she leaned into me, still holding on. The sirens faded as they drove Karen away. She'd messed up and now she'd pay. Mia was safe, and that's what mattered most. After Karen's arrest, things moved fast. The DA's office took it seriously because Mia's disabled, and that made what Karen did worse. They charged her with misdemeanor assault. She didn't want a trial, too much proof against her, so she pleaded guilty. The judge gave her probation, forced her to take anger management classes, banned her from all parks for a year, and put a restraining order in place to keep her away from Mia. I made sure her record showed exactly what she did. Hit a little girl who couldn't fight back. It wasn't about ruining her life, it was about making sure she couldn't hurt anyone else. I called the DA myself, double-checking every detail. This had to stick. The playground changed after that day. Parents didn't just sit back, they got mad, got loud. They demanded cameras and the city listened. Within days, new security cameras went up, watching every corner. A few parents even started a patrol, taking turns walking around during busy hours to keep things safe. Stories about Karen started coming out too. One mom said Karen shoved her son off a slide last summer. A dad remembered her threatening to sue over a scraped knee her kid got playing. She'd been a bully for years, but now everyone had proof. The park turned into a team, all working together to stop her kind of nonsense. It felt good knowing Mia's hurt woke people up. Mia wasn't the same though. She got quiet, didn't ask to go outside much. Playground scared her now, and I hated that. Her arms stopped hurting after a week, the red mark faded, but her heart was slower to fix. I stayed home more, keeping her close. We played games inside, built puzzles, read her favorite stories with funny voices. She'd smile a little, laugh sometimes, and I could see her strength coming back bit by bit. One night, she drew a picture of the swing, her in it, flying high. It wasn't perfect, but it told me she was healing. I kept every minute with her gentle, letting her feel safe again. She's tough, my Mia, tougher than Karen could ever dream of being. The park wasn't just a place anymore, it was a fight we won. Parents waved at me when I walked by, some saying thanks. They didn't want Mia to be the last straw, they wanted her to be the start of something better. I'd look at her sleeping, her small hand on a book, and know we'd get through this. Her spirit was bruised, not broken. Time would do the rest, and I'd be right there for every step. Weeks passed and Mia started to heal. One day she looked up at me, her eyes bright again, and asked, "Can we go back to the park?" My heart jumped. I nodded, smiling. "Let's go, sweetheart." We got ready and headed out together. Her wheelchair rolled over the fresh gravel, crunching softly under the wheels. The playground looked different now. New cameras on poles, parents chatting like old friends. Mia stared at the accessible swing, the one Karen had ruined for her. She paused, her hands tight on her rims. I waited, not pushing her. Then she rolled forward, slow but sure. "Help me, Daddy," she said. I lifted her onto the swing, gentle as always, and stepped back. She started slow, just a little sway. Then she pushed harder, swinging higher, and a laugh burst out of her, loud, free like before. I stood there watching her soar, my chest full. The park felt safe again. The cameras hummed quietly, keeping watch. Parents smiled at us, some waving. Kids ran around, no fear in their steps. I thought about everything: Karen's slap, the anger, the fight. Justice wasn't just her getting caught or punished. It was this, Mia swinging high, not afraid anymore. It was the playground turning into a place we all fixed together. People didn't just complain now, they looked out for each other. One mom nodded at me like she knew what this moment meant. A dad tossed a ball with his kid nearby. The air felt lighter, stronger. Mia's laugh was proof we'd won something big. Later that night we were home. Mia fell asleep on the couch, a book open on her lap. Her face was peaceful, no more shadows from that awful day. My phone buzzed, a text from the DA. "Case closed." "She's done," it said. I looked at Mia, her small hand resting on the page, and smiled. Karen was gone, out of our lives, out of the park. But this wasn't about her anymore. We'd fought for more than a courtroom win. We'd taken back Mia's joy, her trust, her place in the world. She'd asked to swing again, and she'd laughed like nothing could stop her. That was the real victory. I pulled a blanket over her, turned off the light, and knew we were okay. The park was ours again, and so was she.